Judge the evidence fairly.
Skorda says he feels the case will be heard in Utah County and there will be enough unbiased jurors to move forward. The head of the FBI says they are now investigating more than a dozen people who they believe were communicating with Tyler Robinson on social media before Charlie Kirk was murdered.
FBI Director Kash Patel said in a congressional oversight hearing this morning they believe Robinson was communicating with more than a dozen people on a Discord chat before he was arrested on suspicion of Charlie Kirk's murder. Patel told the Senate Judiciary Committee they are now investigating every single person in that chat to see what they knew beforehand, if anything.
So what we're doing, we've already done, is sort of legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution.
According to arrest documents released late last week, investigators say Robinson's roommate showed them Discord chats with a phone contact named Tyler. They say those messages gave information about a rifle and where it was left, and that Tyler had changed outfits. Patel didn't give exact numbers, but he said there are well over 20 other people in the Discord chat. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
And again, we are standing by for that news conference to occur in Utah County. I'm still looking at a podium, but no people standing behind it. We will bring that to you when it does happen. And we'll continue to cover the story throughout the afternoon, including Robinson's initial court appearance coming up at 3 o'clock. Make sure you listen live on air, online, or on the KSL News Radio app. KSL's top national stories. In the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, the nation's top law enforcement official says federal prosecutors will target hate speech. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
The Attorney General now vows to go after those who espouse hate.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech.
Pam Bondi said it in an interview with podcaster Katie Miller.
You can't have that hate speech in the world in which we live.
But her remarks have led to a strong backlash from fellow conservatives, some of whom quoted Charlie Kirk, who posted last year that in America all speech is protected by the First Amendment. Bondi now says her department will prosecute those who make violent threats. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Other national stories KSL is following this hour. A judge has dismissed terrorism charges against a suspect in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione appeared in court today where the judge dismissed the 2 counts of murder as a crime of terrorism, but the rest of the indictment remains. ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer has more on the judge's ruling.
This is absolutely premeditated from the eyes of the judge in terms of this ruling. Second-degree murder is when you have a premeditated murder of an individual. He's facing up to life in prison, 15 years to life in fact. But in terms of his intent was to kill the CEO of United Healthcare, at least based on the grand jury results and the findings of the court. It was not to influence or coerce the civilian population for some sort of policy change. That's what the judge is making a distinction here.
Mangione will still be tried in state court on a charge of intentional murder. An elementary school in Orem was detained by police, or an elementary school student in Orem, I should say, was detained by police after a gun was found in their backpack. Alpine School District says it happened yesterday at Bonneville Elementary, and it was another student who alerted the staff to the gun. The weapon was found unloaded and the student removed from campus. Utah Senator John Curtis has placed a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier in honor of the 2 officers killed in Tremont last month.
Senator Curtis gave a speech on the Senate floor reflecting on what he felt while placing the wreath in honor of Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada.
It was a humbling reminder that sacrifice, whether on foreign battlefields or the quiet streets of our towns, is what preserves our freedom.
He praised the bravery of officers who respond to difficult calls and said these 2 embodied the values in Utah rooted in the state's pioneer history, choosing duty over comfort and walking into danger so others can live in peace. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Good afternoon, Ricky.
Good afternoon, Maria. Nice and quiet on the Valley freeways. A closure due to road work eastbound 90th South at State. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And we continue to stand by for a news conference coming to us out of Utah County, out of the Utah County Prosecutor's Office, announcing those murder charges against the suspect in the Charlie Kirk case. We will continue to stand by. We did hear from the prosecutor's office saying that they have been delayed for about 10 minutes. So stay with us. We'll have more on that. KSL News Time, 12:06.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25 for new customers with qualifying bundle. Current customers may be eligible depending on services and area. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Utah County Attorney's Office is about to file formal charges against the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk. We are standing by to take the announcement live as soon as that does happen. There was a few minutes delay on that. KSL News Time 12:08. More than half of U.S. healthcare workers are actively looking to leave their jobs. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla has more.
Burnout, dissatisfaction, and a high attrition risk are all contributing factors, according to the latest results from the Harris poll. 55% of healthcare workers plan to get new jobs by next year, and 84% say they feel underappreciated by their current employer. Only 1 in 5 believe their employer was invested in their long-term career growth. Younger workers like Gen Z and millennials are the most likely to look for new jobs. It comes as the U.S. forecasts a shortage of 700,000 physicians, registered nurses, and licensed practical nurses by 2037. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Ricky Meese.
Quiet on the Valley freeways, no accidents, no delays. We do have a closure due to road work eastbound 90th South. It's just as you're passing the State Street intersection. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Flawless early fall weather on tap. Mostly sunny today with a high of 76 degrees. 55 overnight, mostly clear. 77 tomorrow, couple of clouds but mostly sunny. 82, mostly sunny again on Thursday. Looks great. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, a lot of sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City and 70 degrees. And still to come on Midday with Maria Shilaos. Formal charges today for the suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk at UVU. We will talk about it with KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. We are also standing by for that news conference from the Utah County prosecutor. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
At Peach Windows and Doors, they help homeowners stay in the homes they love while upgrading to the elegance, efficiency, and natural light of today. With hundreds of 5-star Google reviews, their clients know Peach Windows and Doors deliver what they promise.
I wanted to replace standard-sized French doors.
And breaking news on KSL News Radio. Let's now go to the Utah County prosecutor.
As he handles this case and as the county deals with the publicity surrounding this case. We appreciate your being here.
This is Rich Pyatt from
Jeff will
the county's office
enumerate the charges and detail
the prosecutor,
what the county's findings are up to this point, and then he will take questions. The number of questions may be limited, however. I may cut it off. I may assist him in helping to pick the people who are asking the question. We just ask that you keep the questions to the process of what we're talking about and refrain from asking questions that speculate or get into the political dynamic of the case. For Utah County, this is a murder case, and we're trying a murder case. We're trying to keep the questions to that, but I understand that you're under pressure and have a lot of different questions, and we'll try to answer them. We're joined today by our sheriff and our prosecution team and our county commissioners. Jeff is going to be the only one speaking right now, and I'll introduce right now County Attorney Jeff Gray.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his two young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University, and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist famous for these type of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with a crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is still pending. So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained one spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, "No Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this?" The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last 3 were not spent, were not fired. The second, "Hey Fascist," catch with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, "Oh Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Bella Ciao, Ciao Ciao." The fourth cartridge, "If you read this, you are gay," LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home homesick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it." Robinson again, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find prints. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K scope. Wink, wink. Robinson again. Delete this exchange. Again, Robinson. My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN. Not answering. Robinson. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning, when I read those allegations, these are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media, even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial. I understand the public's desire to know the facts. My own family members have pressed me for information. Why are we reluctant to share the details of the investigation itself and comment on the case? Because I want to ensure a fair and impartial trial. I became a prosecutor because of my love for the ideals of this great country and the principles embedded in our Constitution. The free exchange of ideas and opinions is critical to this great American experiment, but so too are the protections afforded to the accused found in the Fifth and Sixth Amendments: the right against self-incrimination, the right to a speedy and public trial, the right to the effective assistance of counsel, the right to confront one's accusers, and the right to compel the attendance of witnesses. And perhaps most importantly, under our Constitution, the accused is presumed innocent until we, the state, prove to an impartial jury of defendant's peers his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. That jury cannot rely on our allegations, on what they hear in the news, or on what they hear from a public official. The jury is the sole trier of fact, and they will ultimately determine those facts based on evidence a trial judge has determined is admissible. Again, as prosecutors, we bear the burden to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But make no mistake, we welcome this burden. I'd like to now introduce my trial team who will be charged with prosecuting the case. This is a veteran and expert team of some of the state's best trial attorneys. Chad Grunander, who is one of my two chief deputies, Ryan McBride and David Sturgill on the far right there. And those two were very much involved in preparing search warrants, did a phenomenal job, worked day and night to see that accomplished well after Robinson was taken into custody. Also, Lauren Hunt, she is one of our special victims prosecutors, and Chris Ballard, my second chief deputy, who will be handling motions. I'm going to explain just the procedural steps. We're not a grand jury. We don't have a grand jury system like the federal courts do. It's a preliminary hearing system. So the arrest and filing of the criminal information are merely the first steps in the criminal justice process. Today at 3 p.m., the defendant will appear before a judge in the Utah 4th District Court for his first appearance, to be informed of these charges and to ensure that he has an attorney to represent him. The hearing will be brief. The judge will conduct that first appearance virtually via WebEx. This is not unusual. In the 4th District, all felony first appearances for defendants who are in custody are held virtually. A link to that hearing is available for media on the Utah State Court's X account at Utah State Courts. Now, following defendant's first appearance, he will be entitled to a preliminary hearing. At that hearing, the state will be required to show probable cause that defendant committed the crimes. The purpose of the preliminary hearing is not to determine guilt, but simply to assure the court that the prosecution has enough evidence to proceed to trial. If a judge finds probable cause and binds the case over for trial, an arraignment hearing will be held. At that hearing, a judge will again inform defendant of the charges against him and require him to enter a plea to each charge. The next step following the arraignment is an opportunity for the parties to file any relevant motions and then ultimately the trial itself. This case has generated a tremendous amount of interest across our nation and even the world. The public's desire for information is understandable, but it bears reiterating that this case will be tried in a court of law consistent with our Constitution, not the court of public opinion. Thus, we will only discuss the case with the press occasionally. It will not be a day-to-day or even week-to-week occurrence, but we will only do so in a manner as not to jeopardize the fair trial process. Before I conclude, I want to express my appreciation for the tireless work of our local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. They have an extremely difficult, dangerous, and often thankless job. I'm proud to acknowledge the exceptional work they do every day, and particularly their work on this case. It was truly a marvel to witness. Their skilled work and dedication have brought us to this point. I'm also grateful for the leadership demonstrated by Bo Mason, the Commissioner of the Utah Department of Public Safety, FBI Special Agent in Charge Rob Bowles, Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith, our local police chiefs, and Felice John Vitti, the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah. I'm also grateful for the support of our Governor, Spencer Cox, and our Attorney General, Derek Brown, who is standing behind me today and has offered his support and resources as we proceed to trial. Finally, I want to thank our Utah County Commissioners, Amelia Powers Gardner, Brandon Gordon, and Skylar Beltran. They too have pledged to assist with the resources needed to successfully prosecute this case. I will now take a few questions.
For questions, ladies and gentlemen, just really fast, if you could identify yourself and what organization. Yes, thank you.
Okay. They are still looking into it. It's an undergoing investigation.
So is that a possibility?
They haven't ruled that out.
Ed Lavendera with CNN, the text message that you exchanged with the roommate, can you kind of give us a sense of, did that happen over several hours? Did it happen before?
I don't have that information.
Emily Anderson Stern, the Salt Lake Tribune. I know, acknowledging that you made this decision to pursue the death penalty independently, did you hear it all from the Trump administration?
He's being asked about the death penalty. Can barely hear these questions. This is Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray answering questions of reporters.
From both administrations, but I was not pressured to make a decision. I understood their feelings on it because it was in the news, but we didn't really discuss that.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director, have any indication that transgender issues played a role in the motivations for this shooter?
He is now being asked about motivation of the shooter.
I just stated in my public, in our information. I think that is pretty much set forth there.
Mr. Gray, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, just asking, are you planning to file additional charges against anyone else?
He's asking if there will be any additional charges against others.
We don't have any information at this point of additional suspects, but I know that our law enforcement agencies are continuing to follow leads.
Mr. Gray, the FBI director today said that you are, quote, or that other people, a number of people are being investigated and interrogated. So it seems that
he's asking about other folks who have been investigated or interrogated.
I can't comment on that. I'm not aware of all their investigation. I just know that these agencies are continuing to investigate this case and follow all leads.
Janet Sophia with BBC News. Would like to know, how does this possibly interface with any federal authorities?
That's up to the feds. They have different charges, and they're reviewing the evidence, and After they review the evidence and the law, they could file charges, but I'm not privy to exactly what they're looking at.
Dennis, how big with the BBC? You spoke a lot about text messages with the roommate. The governor previously said the roommate is cooperating, but could we see charges against the roommate?
Again, I'm not prepared to answer that question.
Mr. Gray, is it unusual to cite a political motivation as an aggravating circumstance?
It's part of our code, and so we charge that.
Again, this is Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray answering questions from reporters after filing formal capital murder charges against Tyler
Ultimately, a judge will determine that at trial.
And cooperation, has he spoken at all? Has he been cooperating?
Again, I'm not going to comment on that. Okay.
What more can you tell us about the suspect's time online that some say radicalized him?
I am not aware of that information. It's, again, still under investigation.
And has he expressed any remorse so far about this?
He's being asked if he expressed
comment
remorse.
on that.
Continuing to not cooperate?
I am not going to comment on
And
that.
whether he's been cooperating.
The record has been way out of front in terms of presenting evidence to the public. Your team has been very circumspect, very measured in what they've laid out. Does that hamper your investigation and the build-up to this?
Well, as attorneys, we typically like to control that information to preserve an impartial jury and a fair trial. Excuse me? I don't have that information.
Can you tell us more about what the family may have said in interviews?
He's being asked about what the family may have said.
Provided.
Do you anticipate that the defense will try to get this trial moved out of Utah County, and how will you respond to that?
That from where?
From Utah County.
That the defense will be from Utah County?
Well, that they will try to get the trial moved to a different location.
I couldn't predict what they're going to do.
He's asking about the timing of the shot at this point in time.
That will be for a jury to decide.
Mr. Gray, are you confident that the roommate had no part of this attack whatsoever?
Asking now
Again,
if
I'm
he's
not gonna
confident the
comment on the
roommate had
evidence.
any part in this.
The evidence so far, does it show any involvement?
Again, I'm not going to comment on other than the facts that or the evidence that we've gathered so far. I don't believe so. This is part of a public document that we have to file as we file a criminal information. We have to file a probable cause statement. That's a public document, and so we're comfortable with that.
Are his parents and the roommate still cooperating?
I'm not going to comment on that either.
The FBI has said that this suspect had a hatred of Kirk. What else can you share about that?
I can't share any more than what I've already said.
This was an incredibly precise shot. Do you have any evidence that he went places to practice or have practiced?
They're asking whether he believes a suspect was practicing before this
The
event,
evidence that I'm
practicing
willing
the
to
shots.
share is what I just read in our statement, and it's in the
Ladies and gentlemen,
information.
I'm afraid we're going to have to cut it off there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you consult Erica Kirk about seeking the death penalty?
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, you've been listening to a news conference that's coming to you out of Utah County, where the Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, has just outlined numerous charges in the Charlie Kirk murder case. Among those charges against Tyler Robinson, capital murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and many aggravating factors, including obstruction of justice and witness tampering. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas is joining me now. And Greg, first of all, that was quite a long news conference, not something we usually expect before or as these charges are being filed. First of all, what did you find surprising about what was said today?
Exactly what you just said, that it was much more descriptive, much more graphic, much more telling than I would have expected. The county attorney, Jeff Gray, is a great man, and he's a good prosecutor and a good lawyer. I was a little bit surprised that he disclosed so much in terms of his probable cause statement, and he did indicate that he wants to make sure that the accused has a fair trial, that he doesn't taint the jury pool, that he doesn't disclose too much. But boy, He got pretty close to the line.
Yeah, let's talk about the charges. Quite a number of charges. Capital murder, which we're not surprised by, and the fact that he is going to look for the death penalty in this case. But a number of other charges, including obstruction of justice and witness tampering.
Yeah, so he's alleging, with respect to the obstruction of justice, that he destroyed some evidence at the time, hid the gun, which would be obstructing justice, and then the witness tampering resulted from his communications with his roommate. And Jeff, the county attorney, articulated that. He said, I told him to delete my post, delete my text, do this and that. And so he's and anytime you have a case like this, the aggravated murder drives the ship. I mean, nothing else really matters. It's a death penalty case, and Jeff's already announced, the county attorney's already announced that he's seeking the death penalty. So all these other felonies are serious, and I don't mean to downplay them, but they're not driving the ship.
Well, including the fact that he knew that children were present for this violent act.
Right, and so what he did, he brings that in, and also with Charlie Kirk's position, to aggravate it, to make the charges a little bit more serious and a bit more aggravating. That he's a public figure, that he does this, that Tyler Robinson commits this act in the presence of children. So he does that to make the crimes more serious and make the public consider them more seriously.
Okay, now he said that he intends to seek the death penalty. Your take on that? Does he have enough evidence to support that?
Well, he certainly has a good case, and from what he said today, we learned a lot about the case, that there's really a confession to the roommate and to others, including perhaps even his father. So he has a strong case. With respect to the death penalty, it remains to be seen. There's the aggravating circumstance that he alleges is that he created a great risk of death to others other than the person that was killed, and that is by firing the gun over the crowd. He doesn't have any other aggravating circumstances like 2 homicides or you killed a police officer or something like that. We have like 30 different aggravating factors that make a murder into a death penalty case. He alleges only one. Only, I say, because you only need one. But also this case, if you think about it, is a 22-year-old individual, the defendant. He was clearly radicalized, and there's going to be a lot of work done by his attorneys to look into what's called mitigation. What got him to this point, and does he really need to suffer execution? I mean, it's going to be up to a jury. I don't think Jeff Gray, the county attorney, has a weak case by any means. I'm not saying that, but it's not the most compelling case for death penalty. I probably get in trouble saying that. I mean, he's got a good murder case, but I don't know about the death penalty in a case like this.
I know we have to let you go in just a second here. My final question is, with so much evidence released, can he get a fair trial in Utah County?
It's a big county. It's the second biggest county in Utah, and certainly he's got to give it a shot to see if there's enough people there. There are enough people there who haven't formed an opinion and are willing to consider the evidence. So I think that there's a good group of citizens down there, and I think he'll get a fair trial.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. And we'll speak more with Greg Skordas coming up in the next hour of Midday. We're going to take a break and come back, and we'll have much more for you here on KSL News Radio throughout the afternoon, including the defendant will be in court. Well, it'll be a video hearing where these charges will be read at 3 o'clock. They'll have the very latest on Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the end of summer sale at AutoZone. We're celebrating the end of long days and short nights with big deals for a short time. Like car wash. Right now, you can save 20% on the Armor All Complete Car Wash Kit. Need new brakes? Duralast brake pads are free with the purchase of Duralast rotors. We've also got oil deals and more. We're ending the summer right with the end of summer sale at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but can't because you're in pain? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help you get out of pain.
I just had difficulty walking when I had the pain. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Are you buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let foot, knee, or back pain get in the way of you staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week, pain-free.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. Walk-ins are always welcome. Make this the year you get active and healthy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We do have a crash vehicle fire, and this is still blocking 2 right lanes of traffic eastbound on the 21st South Freeway at the I-15 junction. It has been causing delays. Attention Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. Don't wait for bad weather to schedule professional snow service with GoPave Utah. Your complete parking lot safety starts with GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front. Today's high 76, staying in the 70s again tomorrow, but then on Thursday moving into the 80s. Low 80s for Thursday and Friday. And still that chance of rain showers coming back on Saturday, about a 30% chance. Again, 72 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. Looking at some of the area temperatures in Provo, 73, 71 in Ogden. Right now in St. George, 84 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Charges officially filed today in the murder of Charlie Kirk. The suspect set to appear in court later today. If convicted, he could face the death penalty.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney.
The time is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, September 16th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we'll get a live reporter and analysis on the charges, plus a preview of today's court hearing. Also this hour...
Oh, it should be, but I think they should listen to smart people like me. I think I have a better instinct than him.
President Trump commenting on the latest meeting of the Federal Reserve in which they are likely to lower interest rates. But first, our top stories. Developing news. Prosecutors have charged Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, with aggravated murder. This is just one of 7 charges against Robinson and is a capital offense. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray says he will seek the death penalty against Robinson.
I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime.
Gray says they believe Robinson targeted Kirk because of his politics. In their investigation, police say they found evidence that Tyler Robinson confessed the murder to his roommate. Officials released a text exchange between the two where his roommate asks, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" And Robinson responds, "I am. I'm sorry." In this conversation with his roommate, Robinson reportedly laid out the motive, intent, and how he committed the murder, saying he'd been planning it for over a week. Robinson will make his first appearance in court later this afternoon at 3. Our top national story from ABC News. A judge has tossed out 2 terrorism charges against Luigi Mangione in the murder of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky says the murder charges remain.
Luigi Mangione is going to be back in court on December 1st. The judge still has a couple of other rulings to make, including setting a trial date, but also to decide a defense motion as to whether prosecutors violated Mangione's HIPAA rights when they accessed some of his medical records through a subpoena. The judge said he was not ruling on the legality of the subpoena, but he told prosecutors they couldn't use any evidence collected from his insurance company, Aetna.
Mangione's lawyers did not comment after today's hearing. Taking a look at your money at this moment. Quick update of the markets here. The Dow is down by 89 points. It looks like the S&P is just off by a fraction, and the NASDAQ is up by 13 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
A spot of delay due to this crash and vehicle fire eastbound on the 21st South Freeway. It's at about 8th West, right as you're approaching the I-15 junction, and crews are still blocking a right lane of travel. The 9th annual My Gluten Free World Expo is being held September 26th and 27th at the Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Come see over 100 vendors showcasing the best of gluten-free. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mild temperatures, highs in the 70s for the next couple of days, but moving back into the low 80s for Thursday and Friday, and a 30% chance of showers on Saturday. 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
At Your Service Pros is your whole home service maintenance pro with 5-star reviews. Get $49 furnace tune-ups, $39 electrical inspection, $75 off repairs. At yourservicepros.com.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Today, charge is officially filed against the man accused of killing conservative influencer Charlie Kirk. In just the last hour, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray outlined the charges against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, reading a series of text messages while outlining other pieces of evidence in their case. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera was there. He joins me live with more on what we learned from the news conference that just wrapped up. And Eric, walk us through what we learned.
Maria, prosecutors have formally charged 22-year-old Tyler Robinson in connection with last week's deadly shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. And Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray read the first charge and announced they will seek the death penalty.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Robinson is facing a total of 7 charges, including aggravated murder, multiple counts of obstruction of justice, and witness tampering.
Eric, describe what investigators are now saying happened that day.
Yeah, so they say surveillance cameras show Robinson arriving on campus at around 11:51 a.m., wearing the black shirt with the American flag. Investigators say he appeared to be hiding a rifle in his clothing as he kept his head down. They believe he climbed over a railing to reach a rooftop overlooking the auditorium. At about 12:23, about 15 minutes into Kirk's Q&A session, a single shot was fired into a crowd of several hundred people, including children. It's what they say. Seconds later, investigators say cameras captured Robinson running across the rooftop, rifle in hand, before leaving the area. Police later found the weapon wrapped up in a wooded area with 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds.
A Utah County attorney also shared new details about what happened after that shooting, especially details involving his family and texts that he sent.
That's right, Maria. Prosecutors say Robinson's parents saw news coverage and recognized the suspect's clothing and rifle. And when they confronted him, he initially claimed he was homesick, but later admitted to them what he had done and at one point threatened to take his own life. They persuaded him to meet with a retired sheriff's deputy who is a family friend. That deputy convinced him to turn himself in, which ended a 33-hour manhunt when Robinson surrendered at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. We also learned about disturbing text messages. The day before the shooting, Robinson messaged his roommate saying, "I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." After the attack, prosecutors say Robinson told the roommate to delete the messages and to stay silent.
Eric, what are prosecutors saying about these charges right now?
So Attorney Jeff Gray made it clear these are allegations and nothing has been proven in court at this stage.
These are allegations. And like the evidence set forth in this statement, those allegations, what you've heard from the media, even from state and federal officials, has not been tested in the crucible of a jury trial.
Eric, describe what it's like right now there.
You know, Maria, security here was very tight, right? Bomb-sniffing dogs were checking vehicles as I arrived. The courtroom was packed with media and supporters from across the country, across the globe, really. And this case has national attention, as you can imagine it. And today's announcement is only the beginning of what's expected to be a lengthy and closely watched legal process.
All right, thank you. That is KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera live for us in Utah County. We're going to take a break. Be back with more in 60 seconds.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to the end of summer sale at AutoZone. We're celebrating the end of long days and short nights with big deals for a short time, like car wash. Right now, you can save 20% on the Armor All Complete Car Wash Kit. Need new brakes? Duralast brake pads are free with the purchase of Duralast rotors. We've also got oil deals and more. We're ending the summer right with the end of summer sale at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
University of Maryland Global Campus offers more than 55 flexible online certificates that provide short-term credentials and real-world skills you can use immediately. With a range of affordable undergraduate and graduate certificates in high-demand fields like business, AI, cybersecurity, data analytics, and healthcare, you can earn credentials quickly to help advance your career. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Let's turn now to KSL legal analyst and the host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas, for some analysis on the charges that we've heard. So, Greg, kind of let's debrief the charges. What penalties do these charges carry? There are, what, 7 charges?
Yes, and all the way from a misdemeanor Class A, which is the lowest level charge, it carries up to a year in jail, a couple of third-degree felonies up to 5 years, several second-degree felonies, 1 to 15 years, and some first-degree felonies. The firearm charge, the discharge of a firearm in a manner that causes injury, is a first-degree felony, carries 5 to life. But the big-ticket item, of course, is the aggravated murder, which in Utah carries the potential for death, life without the possibility of parole, or life in prison. So a jury, if this case goes that far, will ultimately make that decision.
What do you think is going to happen at this point? Is it possible that this case will be moved out of Utah County to get a clean and impartial jury? Is that even possible in the United States?
Oh, no, it's possible. I mean, we saw it with Lori Vallow. We saw it with Chad
true.
Daybell. Their crimes that occurred in different, the southern part of Idaho, they were tried in Boise, the big city, so to speak. Corey Richins tried to get her case moved from Park City to Salt Lake, but they didn't. They couldn't prove that she couldn't get a fair trial there. So I think that the defense will ask the judge at some point, hey, can we move this to another county? And that's absolutely possible. But usually when you move to another county, you move to another county within the same district. And that's the 4th District Court, which encompasses Utah County, Wasatch County, and Juab County. So the other 2 choices are actually smaller counties, although they may have a jury pool that has less knowledge about the case.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the news conference, Mr. Gray was asked about possible federal charges. What do you think? He said he couldn't comment on that. What do you think could happen here?
Well, certainly the feds are looking at this case. The U.S. Attorney, the acting U.S. Attorney has been involved in the case. The Federal Public Defender's Office have been involved in the case. And what they often look at is the state doing enough? And if the state's saying, we're charging this as a death penalty case, and Jeff Gray came right out of the chute today, Maria, and said, I'm going to seek the death penalty, he doesn't have to make that announcement until the arraignment, which is a year away probably. So I think he sent a message to the feds, we got this. We're going to take this seriously, and we're going to pursue it to the highest extent we can. That would tend to dissuade the federal government from coming in. Do they still have the ability to? Absolutely. They have concurrent jurisdiction. Both sovereigns can take the case, and the federal government actually has a death penalty, so they could do that. I think that what they'll probably do is wait and see that the state is pushing the case hard, and if they're not, the feds may jump in. They may anyway, but I would say, based on what I heard today, that was a message to the federal government that we've got this.
Tyler Robinson's first court appearance is going to happen at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Gray said that it's going to happen video. It's going to be a virtual meeting, not in person. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the Utah County Jail is in Spanish Fork. The court's in Provo. And for something like this, they wouldn't transport somebody. Not that it's a great distance, just to say hello. So the judge will read the charges to him. The judge will ask if he can afford an attorney or if he needs to appoint an attorney, and the judge will set what's called the conditions of his release. Now, he's not going to be released, and Jeff Gray said it's a death penalty case, so nobody's getting out. And then they'll schedule dates down the road. But as far as I know, and what we're 115, he still doesn't have an attorney appointed yet. So that appointment, I don't know if it's going to come in the next hour and 45 minutes. I sort of doubt it. But he'll get an attorney appointed probably this week, and then they'll start moving forward.
A lot of information was released today. What does that say about the prosecution's strategy?
I think they're trying to send a message that they have a very, very strong case, and they didn't hold anything back. I mean, some of the evidence that we heard today, we haven't heard before. The conversations with his family, the conversations with his roommate, the description of the gun, things that were not even in a probable cause statement that the police filed that I thought was very descriptive the other day when they booked him into jail. That was a very involved probable cause statement. This was 5 times longer. I mean, it was more than was necessary by a long shot. But I think the prosecutor wanted to show his case.
He talked about wanting to be transparent. Does it matter that federal or the nation's eyes are on this case?
Absolutely.
Do you think that added to the information that was released?
No question. And even sort of he got into the politics a little bit, like. We hadn't heard any more before that the defendant was sort of getting some some far left, information or things that were bothering him or getting into his head, and that he had this relationship with his trans roommate. I think those were things I don't know, that right now we're sort of looking at this case as is he left-leaning, is he right-leaning, does it even matter? This makes it sound like he was influenced by some radical left groups, and that's something that I didn't think was really necessary, but apparently the county attorney did.
So the court hearing today is going to be pretty quick.
Oh, yeah, it'll be shorter than this interview's been.
Okay. And on a side note, talk to us about the potential charges for George Zinn. That's the man who reportedly told authorities he was the shooter, so the real shooter could get away.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Yeah, so he went and confessed to a crime that he didn't commit. He said, I shot him, so now you shoot me. And so the police are like, whatever. I don't even think they took him seriously, but they had to arrest him. And I think if you recall, at least one of our law enforcement officers said, we've got our guy in custody. So he may have slowed the pace of the investigation down. So when you look at obstruction of justice, you look at what crime he was obstructing. And in this case, he was obstructing the investigation into a capital case. That makes the obstruction one step down. It's a first-degree felony. It's very, very serious. Mm-hmm. If you obstruct somebody looking into a shoplift or something, that's a much lesser crime. But if you're obstructing an investigation into an aggravated murder, you're committing a crime that carries from 5 years to life in prison.
Serious crime. All
Absolutely,
right.
Yep.
Thank you. KSL's legal analyst Greg Skordas and the host of Inside Sources. The president of Utah Valley University releasing a video statement addressing the campus community. UVU President Astrid Jimenez says ahead of a return to the campus for students tomorrow that the university is working with law enforcement and mental health counselors to provide a safe campus for students to return to, a place where they feel safe and supported.
The last few days have been tragic. Our university experienced a grievous act of violence. My heart breaks for Erica, the widow of Charlie Kirk, her young children, and Charlie's family and friends. We have experienced trauma and grief on the campus of Utah Valley University. I grieve with everyone who has been affected. I recognize the trauma you experienced, and we are here to support you. But the last few days have also shown us the beauty of community. We have received countless notes of love, concern, and support. Many from Utah, the country, and the rest of the world have prayed for us and wished us clarity, healing, and resilience. We have seen seamless collaboration with law enforcement. We have seen and felt human touch and connection, a trait that defines the very best of Utah and its people. During this terribly sad time, we have an opportunity to show that human connection is stronger than violence, that love is stronger than fear. We can strengthen human compassion and patience for ourselves and others in the face of tragedy. Our first responsibility as of today is to those directly impacted. We have mobilized counseling and trauma services and urge every member of our community to seek the help that they need. The safety of our students, staff, faculty, and visitors is our highest priority. Local, state, and federal law enforcement are working with us to ensure a safe return to campus. Thank you all for your prayers, support, and understanding during this difficult time. I look forward to welcoming you back with open arms to Utah Valley University.
Student services are open and available today. Employees returned to campus yesterday, and classes will resume tomorrow. The Federal Reserve could lower interest rates at their meeting tomorrow. We'll get a preview of the meeting and what you, as the consumer, might want to watch out for. That's coming up next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Well, traffic is moving again now in Parley's Canyon, but both directions we had traffic completely stopped near the quarry. That could have been due to the quarry doing some blasting. But again, traffic moving, residual delays in the lower portion of the canyon. And we still have a right lane blocked from an earlier vehicle fire eastbound on the 21st South Freeway at the I-15 junction. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
If you've been thinking you need to take off the those extra pounds, but you've just been frustrated with losing weight altogether, just haven't found the perfect plan, and just don't have enough time, I want to tell you what has worked with me, and I have a pretty busy schedule. It's Salt Lake City Fat Loss. I have lost more than 40 pounds with this great program. It's an all-natural program, so I haven't need to worry about anything, any side effects from injections or surgeries. It's just a simple combination of foods that just burn off your stored fat. Now, the key is it works very quickly so that you aren't frustrated about the fact that you're not losing weight, so you can stick with the plan. And it's easy to follow with great resources to help keep you accountable. They have a great app. It gives you daily ideas of how to be successful. And right now, you can save $200. And you can find out how at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them at 801-450-1882. Wouldn't it be great to lose up to a pound per day before the holidays? Just go to slcfatloss.com to learn more. That is slcfatloss.com.
I like that song, Old Town Road. My grandkids say that's so 5 years ago. But then as soon as I figure out who Sabrina Carpenter is, those same grandkids think she's yesterday's news. Music is always changing, but no matter how it changes in 5 years, there's one thing that'll stay the same: the price of your internet. With the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with their best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. So if it's 2030 and the spotlight's dimmed on the current pop superstar, when there's a brand new sound that has the kids dancing with their earbuds in, you'll still be paying the exact same price for the most reliable Wi-Fi with the best equipment included. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee: the music changes, the price won't. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA fixed broadband experience. Report August 2024.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me, they calm me down, they make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You need another bathroom. You want a back patio retreat. We have a plan. If you're looking to start a home improvement project, a discounted home equity line of credit from Zions Bank is an easy, affordable way to turn your home's equity into opportunity. Stop by your local branch to get started or visit zionsbank.com/HELOC to learn more. Loan subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. See banker for details. A division of Zions Bank Corporation, N.A., member FDIC, equal housing lender. NMLS number 467014.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
You're listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. As the Federal Reserve faces pressure from the White House, plus an ongoing battle to remove one of the Fed's governors, the Fed is meeting this week to determine whether or not to lower interest rates. They're expected to make an announcement tomorrow at noon Mountain Time. Bankrate financial analyst Stephen Cates says at this point, a 2.5% rate cut seems all but guaranteed. He joins me. A 0.25, that 2.5 would be large, wouldn't it? A 0.25% rate cut seems all but guaranteed. He joins me now live on Midday to share some of his thoughts ahead of tomorrow's much anticipated announcement. And Stephen, thanks for spending a few minutes with me.
My pleasure. I was about to jump in and correct that decimal placement.
Oh, thank you so much. So why do you think it's all but guaranteed that the Fed will cut rates?
Well, so for one, I think it is warranted given the deterioration we've seen in the labor market and the rise in unemployment. A little bit of support for the economy is probably necessary. I think that's a confidence builder for the business and businesses and consumers. But it's also what they have been telegraphing. One of the things that the Fed does relatively effectively is try not to surprise the market and the economy with something that they don't expect. And so if we were going to see either no cut or a larger cut, some of that news would have somehow trickled out into sort of into the ether.
So what does a 0.25% rate cut mean for the average consumer?
In and of itself, this in a vacuum isn't going to have, or a shattering effects the day of or the day after the actual event. But more than anything, it is showing that we're trending now back towards probably lower borrowing costs. We're already seeing mortgage rates having fallen, and the rate that they've fallen in the last few weeks has been accelerating. If you think back to where we were in January, mortgage rates were over 7%. They're now about 6.25%. So that's a big movement down, and a lot of that has taken place in the last couple months. A welcome thing for anybody who's trying to buy a home or wants to refinance.
So what kind of data does the Fed use when making these decisions?
So they're looking at a lot of things. If you've listened to any of the press conferences from Jerome Powell, I'm not sure if everybody's doing that, but they use the words data dependent a lot. And what that means is that they're looking at all the economic data that's coming out. So whether that's the inflation data, the consumer price index, it's the job growth numbers of non-farm payrolls, they're looking at unemployment, they're looking at manufacturing data. They're trying to get a gauge of, is the economy growing? How fast? What is the labor force like? We've got some, unfortunately, poor sentiment from parts of the labor market. Young, recent college graduates, unemployment is high and rising. We've got a lot of frustration out there because there is just a low level of hiring in the economy. And that isn't good because a consumer economy like ours that is losing confidence and stops spending or freezes up because they're unsure of what the future holds, can be a self-fulfilling prophecy and could lead us towards an even worse economy.
Mm-hmm. President Trump has made it clear that he wants the Fed to cut interest rates. How does that impact what the Fed does?
It's hard to separate that, all the rhetoric that we've had over the course of this year from what the Fed is doing. But if they were going to be susceptible to that kind of pressure, they probably would have been cutting rates earlier. This has been hotly debated and certainly requested from the administration for months now, only now having seen a deteriorating job market, are they starting to potentially make this move? So, I think ultimately, President Trump and the Trump administration are getting what they want, probably not on the time frame that they wanted, but we are now entering that cutting cycle. So hopefully they will be a little bit happier with the results.
Stephen, I appreciate your help. Thanks for being with me. Stephen Cates is a financial analyst at Bankrate. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Women in Utah facing greater challenges accessing maternal health care. We'll get the breakdown on a new report just out today. The Trump administration asking Congress to approve more funding for personal security amid growing violence against public officials. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
And the crash and vehicle fire has just pulled away. All lanes open eastbound on the 21st South Freeway at the I-15 junction. Maria?
Looks like we're going to stay in the high 70s today and tomorrow, but up into the 80s for a couple of days after that. Let's get the latest now from ABC News.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray announcing suspect Tyler Robinson is facing 7 charges in the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. It includes aggravated murder, a capital offense.
Following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
ABC's Pierre Thomas says the state also detailed a mountain of evidence, including text messages from Robinson and witness interviews.
It's clear that they said that there had been changes in the past few months and weeks where he'd become more left-leaning, in their words, according to authorities today. And clearly, the relationship with the roommate, authorities, I'm told, are examining that in terms of the roommate who was transitioning from male to female, according to authorities, and his belief that Charlie Kirk, in their words, was sowing hate.
Robinson will appear virtually in court later today to face charges. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story this half hour, and as you have been hearing, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray now says he intends to seek the death penalty for the man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. He laid out much of the evidence during a lengthy press conference this afternoon. The investigation is being covered by news organizations around the world, so will the defense feel like they are able to get a fair trial?
We've seen several high-profile cases in the western states lately, from Lori Vallow Daybell to the University of Idaho murders. And when there's a change of venue, it typically moves to a larger city, where the jury pool is much bigger. But in this case, KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says Utah County is the second most populous county in the state.
And the 4th District also includes Juab and Wasatch counties.
He says to move the case out of the district, the defense would have to poll the population and prove to a judge that most people have made up their minds and would not be fair. He doubts that would happen. A jury trial in this case is still at least a year out or longer. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
A Bonneville Elementary School student in New Orem was detained by police yesterday after a gun was found in their backpack. Alpine School District says another student alerted the staff about the gun. The weapon was found unloaded and the student was removed from campus. Other local stories KSL is following. Robert Redford, the Sundance Kid, has died at the age of 89. KSL TV's Carol Makita interviewed Redford many times over the years, and she says he was always on to the next project and was never fond of the word star.
I think he would want to be included in people's memories as not just a Hollywood icon, which is the phrase that everyone is using right now, but as an arts visionary. I think he smiled when I said that, and I think he realized that he had done that.
McKenna told Inside Sources that Redford put his own career aside to create the Sundance Film Festival because he wanted to showcase independent filmmakers. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 141 points, more than 0.25%, sitting at 45,744. S&P down by 6, and the NASDAQ, it's down by 4 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We have some leftover heavy and slow traffic on I-80 in Parley's Canyon. A part of that is due to where they earlier had stopped traffic by the quarry, but the eastbound side of I-80 is still a little busy from Mountain Dale up to the summit. Also, a new accident. This is going to be northbound Bangerter Highway at 4700 South. It's been moved to the shoulder. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 76, 77 tomorrow, then back up into the low 80s for Thursday and Friday, dipping again on Saturday with a 30% chance of showers. 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hey, want to hear something great? Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of the #1 selling bacon cheeseburger in all fast food, the JBC, plus medium fries and a medium soft drink for just $8. Want to hear something else great? Double the burger means double the bacon. Now that's a game changer. 2 of the #1 bacon cheeseburgers with fries and a drink for just $8. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Request $8 JBC meal deal to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99. And we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale. Now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure sells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Women in Utah facing greater challenges to access maternal health care. That's according to a new report from the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute. Some of the challenges women face include long distances to travel, a limited availability of providers, and a higher prevalence of risk factors. In particular, the report finds that Utah's maternal health workforce is severely under-resourced. Joining me now to go more in-depth on this report is the lead author and senior health research analyst at the Gardner Institute, Melanie Beagley. Melanie, thanks for chatting with me about this new report.
Yeah, it's good to be with you.
Talk to me more specifically about the challenges that women are facing when accessing maternity care. I mean, what exactly did you find?
Yeah, so when it comes to our maternal health workforce, we find that especially in our rural counties, many counties don't have an OBGYN practicing in those counties. They also don't have certified nurse midwives practicing in those counties. So while folks may have to travel long distances for specialty care, we also do find and want to highlight that family practice physicians are providing most of the pregnancy, postpartum, and really care throughout their community's lifespan. So when folks are trying to access care, those family physicians are there. But when there are complications, many of our rural communities have to seek care in our urban core. So, for instance, even folks in St. George oftentimes may have to travel up for that specialty care when we start seeing pregnancy complications. So that's what we see when we look at the workforce. When it comes to travel times just within communities to access some of those more basic prenatal and postpartum care, we have 5 counties in our state where the average travel time to just seek that more basic care is over 60 minutes. And so when we think average, we know that already that's a high average for a few of those communities, but we know that communities within those counties are traveling much longer. That's only, part of the picture as the average. So definitely significant burdens on families, especially in our rural communities. But I also want to highlight that access to care is also moderated by insurance status. So whether you're rural or urban, there's also challenges in accessing care because of a lack of health insurance or the costs associated with care. So I would say that there's a lot to think about when we think about accessing maternal health care.
You mentioned in the report that the gap in maternal health care coverage is expected to grow. Why do you say that?
Yeah, so we have data, and it's at the state level, that looks at workforce projections. And these are projections for 3 of the maternal health provider types that we look at. We recognize that there are other provider types that support women during pregnancy and postpartum. But when we look at these workforce projections, these go out about 10 years. We see that for our OBGYNs and our family practice physicians, again, giving a lot of that care to our families during this time, We already have workforce shortages at a state level for both of those provider types, and those are expected to worsen over the next coming decade. Definitely need to start filling in that pipeline of OBGYNs and family practice physicians. A bright spot when we look at the workforce is we do have our certified nurse midwives, and that is anticipated to remain adequate, healthy, we see good projections for that workforce. So it's important that our facilities throughout the state and our policies enable those providers to be able to work to the top of their licensure so they can support families during this time frame.
Was there any indication why fewer doctors are becoming OBGYNs?
Oh, that's a great question. And we only looked at Utah data when it came to OBGYNs. And so I don't actually have a good answer for that, why they might. I think it's important that we consider having a welcoming space for OBGYNs to practice and to be able to help families when they need it.
All right, Melanie, appreciate your help. Thank you so much for being with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
And that's Melanie Beagley, Senior Health Research Analyst at the Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
The United States is facing a mental health crisis, but there is hope. At Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, they're transforming how mental health is treated and researched, bringing compassion, innovation, and access to those who need it most. Your donation helps fund life-saving care and cutting-edge research that leads to better treatment for everyone. It's already making a difference. Huntsman Mental Health Foundation has built Utah's first ever mental health crisis care center, open 24/7 to anyone, regardless of ability to pay. They've also recently launched a youth crisis care program at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, giving kids and teens immediate support. And Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is expanding services like therapy, medication management, geriatric care, and treatment-resistant support. Join us. Be part of the change. Donate today at hmhf.org. That's hmhf.org.
FBI Director Kash Patel appeared before a Senate committee today for the first time since his confirmation. It comes amid the investigation into the murder of Charlie Kirk. News Nation's Joe Khalil says early criticism came from Democrats over his handling of the investigation.
He came right out of the gate, even in his opening statement, defending his own actions, defending posting to social media that they had apprehended persons of interest. He said that he was committed to transparency and that those moves were simply just his honoring the commitment that he has made to the country. Again, some of that, though, under criticism from Democrats. There was also quite a bit of criticism about politicization within the FBI.
Illinois Democratic Senator Dick Durbin is one of the lawmakers criticizing FBI Director Kash Patel today on Capitol Hill. He had strong words for Patel for his mistakenly posting on social media that political activist Charlie Kirk had been caught. The suspect had been caught, and then later had to retract it because it wasn't yet true.
Mr. Patel was so anxious to take credit for finding Mr. Kirk's assassin that he violated one of the basics of effective law enforcement. At critical stages of an investigation, shut up and let the professionals do their job.
Last month, Patel fired FBI agents Chris Meyer and Walter Giardina after accusing them of weaponizing the FBI against President Trump without an internal investigation. In a heated exchange today, Senator Durbin asked Patel about those firings. Those two FBI agents claimed that they were fired as political retribution and not for cause.
So you're not accountable for your decisions to take people who served our country so admirably and terminate them without any cause?
That's a one-sided story. Anyone that has been terminated from the FBI, generally speaking, failed to meet the needs of the FBI and uphold their constitutional duties. And you providing a one-sided story from your perch is absolutely disgraceful because the men and women of the FBI deserve better.
And again, last month, Patel fired the FBI agents Chris Meyer, Walter Giardina, after accusing them of weaponizing the FBI against President Trump. And that was done without an internal investigation. Due to increased threats against public officials, the Trump administration has requested Congress to spend an additional $58 million for the U.S. Marshals Service to expand security for the executive branch and Supreme Court justices. News Nation's Joe Khalil reports.
So after June, that assassination of the former Minnesota State House Speaker Melissa Hortman, members here on Capitol Hill demanded and got more money, more funding for their own security, up to $5,000 that members got individually on a monthly basis. But that actually expires on September 30th. So at the end of this month, that is no longer going to be there. So we asked Speaker Johnson specifically whether that was an option, that they could just extend that for a longer period of time. He said, again, that's one of several options that are on the table, and they want to make sure that whatever they do makes sense. It is costly to do that. That is taxpayer money. At the same time, he did not rule out that the moment might actually require something like that. He did say just now, moments ago, before we got on camera here in a gaggle with a lot of reporters, that he wants to make clear members are safe and that there are ways certainly to guarantee that House leadership, he says, is going to do that. Members themselves are also introducing certain ideas. One, for example, Congressman Richie Torres, a Democrat from New York, put forward an idea about drones and about mandating Homeland Security to use drones for big public demonstrations or big public events where you've got high-profile figures.
The administration also supports increased funding for security for members of Congress, leaving it to lawmakers on how to allocate those resources. More toxic fumes are reportedly making their way in the cabins of airplanes. According to the Wall Street Journal, Airbus loosened some maintenance requirements on one aircraft, which may have led to pilots and flight attendants getting exposed to the fumes. We get more information from ABC's transportation correspondent, Gio Benitez.
A new Wall Street Journal investigation says across airlines, the rate of flights with toxic fumes is accelerating, spiking in 2017, driven in large part by leaks on a particular Airbus jet, the A320. In a statement to ABC News, Airbus says its aircraft are designed and manufactured according to all relevant and applicable airworthiness requirements. The Journal says a neurologist has treated about a dozen pilots and more than 100 flight attendants for what has been described as brain injuries after alleged exposure to fumes on planes over the last 20 years. On most planes, air is pulled in from the outside through engines, so if any seals are worn or degraded, oils from lubricated bearings enter the air and vaporize heat, releasing unknown quantities of toxic compounds, according to the Wall Street Journal report. But not all smells or vapors are toxic. The FAA telling us they are rare. Quote, studies have shown cabin air is as good as or better than the air found in offices and homes.
The FAA tells ABC News that even if fumes do make it into the cabin, there are stringent regulations designed to protect passengers. From a car dealership to an animal shelter, the story of how one Utah business found themselves helping stray cats while finding joy and fulfillment along the way. That's next. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Freeway traffic in good shape. We do have an accident northbound Bangor at 4700 South, but it's out of traffic, not causing any issues. Bad weather and parking lots love GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah loves snow. Don't wait for bad weather. Schedule your snow removal service with GoPave. Visit GoPave.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm, totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25 for new customers with qualifying bundle.
Current customers may be eligible depending on services and area. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
1847. Our home Utah takes shape. A century later, Utah's home champion is born. Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has earned the trust of over 250,000 Utah homeowners, with techs who rise above to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Championing the spirit of 47, Whipple is offering $47 off any home repair or service, including drain clearings. Act now and call Whipple Service Champions at 801-896-1947 for the win today.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
University of Maryland Global Campus offers more than 55 flexible online certificates that provide short-term credentials and real-world skills you can use immediately. With a range of affordable undergraduate and graduate certificates in high-demand fields like business, AI, cybersecurity, data analytics, and healthcare, you can earn credentials quickly to help advance your career. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Shifting gears from revving engines to rescuing kittens. It's what one car dealer in Salt Lake City is doing, all thanks to a stray cat. Owner of Reb Motoring, Tim Semple, tells KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera that it all started when a stray cat wandered onto the property looking for a meal.
So about a year ago, I was leaving the car shop. You know, I work late into the night, and there's a little black cat in the parking lot, and I just kind of felt bad for it. So we went and bought some cat food, started putting it out, and spent about a year feeding this cat, trying to be friends with it. And it's just so timid, so scared from, you know, growing up on the streets. And then it would actually start sneaking into the shop, like in the winter when it got super cold, like the door would be open, the cat would come in. We start, like, our alarm kept going off. We're like, what the heck is setting the alarm off? And then we see a black cat just like cruising around like it owns the place.
Well, that cat ended up getting pregnant, and it found a nice, comfortable, safe space to stay in the ceiling of Reb Motoring. And Semple says he came into the shop one morning,
and there's a little kitten like stuck at the bottom of these stairs going up to the storage area, like up in the ceiling. And we're like, what the heck? And, you know, come to find out, the stray cat had snuck in and So we ended up putting food in the litter box out. And then as they got bigger, once mom kind of disappeared for a few days at a time, we rounded up. There were 4 kittens.
Now, they tried to find a place that could spay and neuter the cats, but places were either too expensive or booked too far out. And when shelters told them they were overwhelmed, Semple partnered with a small nonprofit called Operation Population, creating a dedicated kitten room in his shop to foster and find homes for abandoned cats. Now, Semple said his experience highlights a problem with spaying and neutering pets today.
I don't know that the message is getting across as good as it used to. Like, I don't think people realize that, the shelters are completely full and foster, kittens for free and all this stuff. And it just kind of opened our eyes to this world that we didn't, like Bob Barker at the end of Price is Right is like, yo, spay and neuter your pets. And you're like, all right, well, dude. You talk to someone who's in this every day, who's like, doing like trap and release, and like you realize what a big problem it is. Oh my gosh.
They have a dedicated room for all the cats, and they end up housing something like a cat cafe, he says. Now, as for the motivation for doing all of this,
it's not to sell more cars. It's not for anything other than like, holy crap, this is a huge problem, and here's a small way that we can help.
Semple says that so far they've adopted out roughly a dozen cats. You know what I think? I think it's there to be a stress reliever for all those folks with problems with their car coming in and looking for a new car. Nonaways, Austrian Catholic sisters disobey their superiors, returning home to the convent that they were forced to leave. Here's Brad Milkey, host of the Start Here podcast.
What would you risk to go back home? In the Alps above Salzburg, Austria, there's this convent called Schloss Goldenstein. It houses nuns, but also students. In fact, back in 1948, a teenage student arrived, eventually took the vows herself, and became Sister Bernadette.
Ich bin Schwester Bernadette.
Sister Bernadette lived in Schloss Goldenstein for the next 75 years. She was a favorite among her pupils. Then in 2023, that convent became the property of a different Catholic order. Nuns were told they could stay there as long as they were able, but eventually some were moved, allegedly against their will, to another facility. And many of them were none too happy about it.
I'm filled with immense joy and gratitude in my heart that I can be back again in our familiar buildings.
Recently, 3 of these women, Sister Bernadette, Sister Regina, and Sister Rita, all in their 80s, decided to disobey their superiors and break back into their convent.
We took our vows. That means we live here in this convent and are not transferred somewhere else. We remain in this convent until our death.
Assisted by supportive laypeople and a locksmith, these nuns forced their way into what has essentially become a vacant building. Electricity had been shut off. A motorized stair lift had been removed, meaning these octogenarians now had to hoof it up the stairs. This is what church leaders have been warning about. This is simply not a safe place for these aging nuns to be, they claimed. But friends brought in a generator, the nuns unclogged the toilets themselves, and alumni of the school, former students of these nuns, began bringing over meals for group dinners. This has gone on for 10 days now, and they've gained tens of thousands of Instagram followers documenting their journey. Now, it is entirely possible, maybe plausible, that this will not end well. The diocese says they are legitimately concerned about potential medical emergencies. This is the Alps, and anyone who's lived with an aging family member will tell you physical and mental deterioration can result in terrible accidents. As overwhelming as that urge to return home can be, it's not always a good decision. These nuns basically say, yeah, maybe, but that's not up to anybody else. How much time they have left is between them and God. The rest, they claim, is none ya business.
Proof that where there's a will, there's a way. These nuns are feisty. In the next hour of Midday, we'll visit the life and legacy of legendary actor and filmmaker Robert Redford, who passed away this morning at his home here in Utah. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
This afternoon, charges officially filed against the man accused of killing conservative influencer Charlie Kirk.
Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense for intentionally
or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others.
The time is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, September 16th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, a total of 7 counts against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. We'll go more in depth on the penalties he could face if he's convicted, up to and including execution. Also this hour,
we'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart.
We'll go in depth on White House discussions to go after left-leaning groups following Kirk's murder and what that says about the future of free speech. But first, our top stories. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray now says he intends to seek the death penalty for the man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk. Gray announced they will pursue 7 charges against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson.
Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others.
Gray also shared some of the evidence that they had against Robinson.
DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police.
Robinson will make his first appearance in court later this afternoon at 3. Our top national story from ABC News. House leaders hope to hold a vote this week on a stopgap spending bill that would include additional security funding in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination.
The measure includes nearly $90 million to boost security for government officials, with $28 million to protect the Supreme Court, another $30 million for the U.S. Marshals Service, and $30 million more to reimburse local police departments that guard members of Congress in their districts. By extending all agency funding through November 21st, the bill would avert a government shutdown next month. But Democrats say they'll oppose the measure, pointing to the GOP's refusal to extend expiring tax credits that have lowered the cost of Obamacare premiums.
That is ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy. The White House is pushing back the deadline for TikTok's sale again. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
December 16th is the new deadline for TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell the popular app to an American buyer, else it'll be booted from American app stores. This marks the 4th time President Trump has pushed back the deadline. The previous date had been set for this week. Before leaving for Europe, the president told reporters that a group of very big companies want to buy TikTok. He added he plans to speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping on Friday. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Lawmakers last year passed legislation aimed at forcing a TikTok sale over concerns that it could be used by the Chinese government for espionage, but so far have provided no evidence that that's happening. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all close lower as investors await the Fed's rate decision tomorrow. The Dow down by 125 points, sitting at 45,757 at the close. S&P down by about 9 points. The NASDAQ down by 14 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We do have a new crash. It's in the Murray area. Watch for this on the southbound side of I-15. It's on the collector ramp at the South Interchange. So as you're trying to get to southbound I-15, approximately 6500 south. The BYU Department of Dance presents World of Dance, featuring BYU's finest ballroom, contemporary ballet, Native American, and folk dance ensembles, September 25th through 27th at the Marriott Center. Tickets at BYUOnStage.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 76 degrees, 77 tomorrow, then back into the low 80s for Thursday and Friday. 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today. 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227. Or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. 7 charges against Tyler Robinson filed today in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Joining me live on Midday with more is KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. Eric, prosecutors revealed a lot of new details and clarified others. So walk us through what we've just learned.
Yeah, Maria, Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray announced new charges against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, including aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. He also revealed a major step his office plans to take in this case.
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Eric, we've also been hearing about how investigators pieced together this case. What did prosecutors say about the evidence?
So Gray described the critical evidence that investigators believe ties Robinson to the shooting, including DNA and actions they say he took afterward to cover his tracks.
DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting.
Surveillance video was also key, showing a suspect entering campus, moving toward a rooftop overlooking the event, and then fleeing immediately after the shot was fired. And Maria, I want to clear up a rumor that was spreading online this weekend. You know, some have claimed Robinson's father works for law enforcement. Prosecutors say that's not true. It was a family friend, a retired sheriff's deputy, who helped convince Robinson to peacefully surrender during the 33-hour manhunt.
Eric, what's next in the legal process?
So this afternoon, Robinson will make his first court appearance virtually. The judge will inform him of the charges and ensure he has legal representation. Gray stressed that these are still only allegations, and Robinson is presumed innocent until prosecutors prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt in court.
Finally, Eric, what is the atmosphere like there right now?
You know, Maria, security here has been extremely tight. When I arrived, there were bomb-sniffing dogs checking vehicles outside, and the courtroom was packed with media from around the world. This case has already drawn national attention, and today's announcements are just the first step in what's expected to be a long and closely watched legal process.
All right. Thanks, Eric. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera there, giving us the latest on the charges filed against Tyler Robinson, who is accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Roughly 3,000 people were in attendance at the event last week where Charlie Kirk was shot and killed. In the days since, the FBI has offered various kinds of support for those who witnessed the horrific event. On Inside Sources today, the FBI Salt Lake City Special Agent in Charge, Robert Bowles, spoke about the process of offering support.
And so what they do is we work with UVU and local agencies to have a place to where the victims can come in. And what they do, what the victims do when they come in is they get triaged with some specific folks who kind of ask where they were and what happened, and then provide them the opportunity to sit down with one of our victim services. They're immediately assigned a specific victim services person to sit with them and walk with them the whole way through. If they have items that they need to collect, they'll bring them in and have them collect those items. And a lot of times that can be really emotionally challenging because that reminds them of the event.
In addition to mental health support, FBI agents will also speak with those witnesses to find out if there's anything else they'd like to share about the crime, anything they may have seen that would be helpful to the investigation. Additional support and information on the resources available for people who witnessed the shooting can be found at uvu.info or fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting. In the days since the shocking murder of Kirk, many involved in political discussion across the country have come out memorializing Kirk as someone who never shied away from a conversation, who was always open to the free exchange of ideas. But those on the left side of the political spectrum now say they have been put on notice. They say that contrary to the principles that Kirk stood on, they are being silenced in their critiques of Kirk and his platform. It's quite the conundrum, and the latest in our discussion on free speech. Here's Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast.
On my campus, we've had people cheering, we've had them applauding, and that should be completely and totally condemned.
In several instances, we've seen far-left activists celebrating his death, almost taunting conservatives over it. Senator Ted Cruz posted a video of himself painting over anti-Kirk graffiti on a highway overpass. But there are also more nuanced takes. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, the Democrat from Minnesota, recently appeared on Mehdi Hasan's program describing how terrible the killing was.
All I could think about was his wife, his children. That image is going to live forever.
While also warning against treating Kirk like a national hero.
Charlie was someone who was willing to debate and downplay the death of George Floyd in the hands of Minneapolis police.
I think he called him a scumbag.
For that exchange, right-wing activist Laura Loomer called Omar a terrorist. Florida Congressman Randy Fine said she should have never been allowed to immigrate from Somalia. And of course, this is all a matter of opinion, of values. You can largely express yourself on either side of this debate however you like. Well, yesterday, the late Charlie Kirk's own podcast posted a new episode featuring an unusual guest host, none other than the Vice President of the United States.
J.D. Vance here, live from my office in the White House complex, and filling in for somebody who cannot be filled in for, but I'm going to try to do my best. My dear friend, the great Charlie Kirk.
J.D. Vance, acting as host, invited senior Trump administration officials on as guests, and together, without providing evidence, they sought to draw a direct line from this assassination to networks of violent radicals to broader political organizations. And in doing so, they began broaching the idea of shutting down certain political groups altogether.
ABC's Jonathan Karl joins Brad to go more in-depth on the comments from the vice president yesterday as he filled in as host on Kirk's podcast.
This was, first of all, J.D. Vance took the mic for Charlie Kirk's podcast. He, as I guess, guest host for the day.
We have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years, and I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet.
And he brought on, most prominently, Stephen Miller, the senior policy advisor here to the president, deputy chief of staff, an architect of much of President Trump's domestic policy, to essentially say that they were now going to try to target, I guess, what you would call the root causes of the Charlie Kirk killing, going after left-wing groups.
We are going to channel all of the anger that we have over the organized campaign that led to this assassination
to uproot and dismantle these terrorist networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
They didn't identify specifics. There were no names associated with this, but suggested that there would be a government-wide effort to try to crack down on the, quote, radical left, which they are blaming quite consistently and quite loudly for the killing of Charlie Kirk.
Well, what would that even look like, though? Because there's a difference between saying, like, this person is, directly espousing violence and calling people to violence versus people exercising their opinions. I mean, Charlie Kirk is being remembered as the guy who is so committed to free speech. So how wide is the net in terms of what you would try to shut down as the government?
It's entirely unclear. The president was asked a question by a very friendly Trump media person during an Oval Office event he had yesterday. Would you designate Antifa as a terrorist organization was basically the question.
I would do that 100%, and others also, by the way, but Antifa is terrible.
Antifa's not really an organization. It's more of an ideology, anti-fascist ideology. So the president was somewhat noncommittal about that. He just said he would listen to the advice of his national security team, his domestic security team. But it's unclear what this would really look like. If you listen to the loudest voices in the MAGA movement right now, they have gone very quickly from sorrow for the loss of a friend and a very influential person, Charlie Kirk. Clearly they still have that, but it's really the driving force now is anger and getting back at what they see is the reason for his killing. And they are not blaming a single gunman in Utah. They are blaming what, again, they are calling the radical left.
It looks like he was radicalized over the internet, and it's radicalized on the left. He's a left.
Who killed Charlie? Left-wing radicals, and they will be held accountable.
So how they crack down on that, what they're actually going to do, again, entirely unclear.
So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer.
But when you saw J.D. Vance sitting down there to do Charlie Kirk's podcast and bringing in, arguably the most influential policy voice in this administration and talk about directing the powers of the executive branch of the government to go after this so-called radical left movement, I honestly don't know what that means. There are a lot of questions.
Could these movements by people within the federal government to lead to a chilling effect of voicing opinion? That if you don't have the same opinion as the government, you should be punished. Well, as you will recall from our conversation yesterday with the First Amendment lawyer, the government can't tell you what you can or cannot say. A private entity like your employer can do that.
Look, there's been some reprehensible behavior since the killing of Kirk. There have been people, mostly fringe people, not household names, not powerful voices, but there have been people who actually celebrated the killing of Charlie Kirk. But as you point out, the president's allies have also been going out and highlighting and targeting those who have simply said negative things about Charlie Kirk since his killing.
Or even just quoted his own words, his own positions that they didn't agree with.
Yeah, I mean, look, Charlie Kirk was a hugely influential person in the MAGA movement. He also said some very controversial things. So you have had people on the left primarily who have put his own words out there since he was killed, as if to suggest this isn't the kind of person that should be lionized or turned into a martyr.
Ilhan Omar, after his assassination, called Charlie Kirk a reprehensible human being. Should she be stripped of her committee assignments?
I would say, I think she's a disgraceful person.
The president's supporters are targeting those people and suggesting they are doing something wrong by doing that. So look, we are in a very angry moment right now. The president and his allies have been talking about political violence against the right and acting like there is no political violence against the left.
And there are many questions still to be answered. That was ABC's Jonathan Karl and Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast. A new study out of BYU finding quite a difference in success between married women and single women. We'll go in depth after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We do have a delay-free drive on the Valley Freeways, but a small accident in the Murray-Midvale area, southbound I-15. At the South Interchange, the I-215 junction, it's on the collector ramp, but traffic is able to get around it. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I am not a rich woman, but I feel like a rich woman every time I go in my closet. The best, hands down, present I've ever received was my husband secretly redid my closet with Closets by Design. So now when I go in there aren't all these shoes just junked on the floor. They're neatly sitting on their shelves. And my necklaces are hanging on their individual hooks, and earrings are in their little squares in this soft drawer that pulls out. It's just gorgeous. In fact, he saw how much I loved it. He had Closets by Design redo the garage. So now all the stuff, the tools, the toys, the junk is all in cabinets. When you open our garage door, you see cars. That's it. It's amazing. The things that Closets by Design can do, and it's going to save you money right now because you get up to 40% off plus an additional 15% off with 18-month financing. You can do so much with your closet, much more than you realize, with this wonderful Utah company, Closets by Design. Find out more at 1-800-BY-DESIGN or closetsbydesign.com.
Man, I want to tell people how they can look and feel 10 years younger because it's something you and I already know.
We lost weight with the SOTA weight loss program. I lost 34 pounds, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
And I do feel younger. I have more energy, all because I worked through this wonderful program, SOTA Weight Loss.
And I let go of 70 pounds of fat weight over 5 months, and I actually did get comments, you look incredibly younger. It really felt good.
And I love the example I set for my kids to show them, look, we can celebrate things without having to eat stuff that's bad for our bodies.
And what helps is the accountability. And right now, this is the best way to do it. SOTA's bringing back their most popular offer of the season. Join now, and your partner joins for free in the partner program.
So you and your spouse, or you and your best friend, get going with SOTA Weight Loss.
They're the #1 weight loss company in America for client satisfaction and client results. You can find out by going to their website, sotaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Because SOTA is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owe the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they help me. They calm me down. They make me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, want to hear something great? Right now at Wendy's, you can get 2 of the #1 selling bacon cheeseburger in all fast food, the JBC, plus medium fries and a medium soft drink for just $8. Want to hear something else great? Double the burger means double the bacon. Now that's a game changer. 2 of the #1 bacon cheeseburgers with fries and a drink for just $8. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Request $8 JBC meal deal to obtain discount. Individual items at regular price.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Summer's almost over, but the heat is pressing on. If you've got battery trouble, stop by AutoZone for free battery testing. It may just need a charge, and we'll do that for free too. If you do need a battery, we've got options starting at just $89.99. And we'll recycle your old battery for free. Now that's a strong start. Don't miss the end of summer sale. Now at AutoZone until September 22nd.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
The Animal Crossing installed in Parley's Canyon has dramatically reduced the number of accidents on the Canyon Road. UDOT Resource Manager Matt Howard tells KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson the Animal Crossing at the Parley Summit exit has resulted in a 76% decrease in animal-related crashes.
I don't think that you would see a complete lack of carcasses in the area, but a huge reduction. Another issue we've had is we've had, up until this year, 2 massive winters, which changed elk behavior quite a bit. But we did have some big headlines of elk getting into the corridor and going up and down it in areas that we didn't have the fencing. And so this is a phased approach. We'll have to continue fencing on either end to make sure we button up this entire corridor. But where we've put in fencing and a crossing, there's been a really significant decrease.
He says that they have watched thousands of animals use that crossing to migrate.
Over the years, we've recorded over 2,500 crossing events, with 26 different species being featured. The vast majority of those were mule deer, which ended up being 76% of all the wildlife crossing. Next was coyote, and then we had a lot of moose use and a little bit of elk use so far.
He says every year there are also a couple of bears seen using that crossing, but he says it's the moose that are the most dangerous to motorists.
Well, the problem with moose is they're so leggy, and so they're right at the level where if a car hits a moose, the entirety of its body goes into the windshield of something like a passenger car. So that's what makes those collisions so terrifying.
Howard says while the bridge helped dramatically, the fence surrounding the bridge has also made a huge difference.
We'll never put in a crossing without fencing because we have to change behavior of the animals. They generally won't find a crossing by themselves. And so when we put in a crossing, we try to fence at least a mile or 2 in either direction to funnel them towards it. In this case, it was a little tricky because we were putting a crossing at the top of a hill, which isn't really how animals naturally want to go. So it was especially interesting to find out how fast they would find the crossing with the fencing. And we were finding within less than a season that we were starting to get animals using it. So that was a huge success.
While public safety was a priority for UDOT, Howard says the crossing was also needed from an ecological standpoint.
That was the big thing from a public safety standpoint, but this has been a migration barrier for as long as that road's been there. So our sister agency, the Division of Wildlife Resources, was very concerned about this being a barrier for animals to be able to move freely and do the kind of migration that they need to. And so it was kind of a win-win from an ecological standpoint. And then UDOT's main concern is public safety. And so it was a combination of moose and elk and deer in this area that made a crossing a really good choice.
UDOT is currently working on 2 other wildlife projects, one on US 40 in central eastern Utah and one near Kanab and Zion National Park. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. This portion of Midday, we are streaming on the KSL News Radio app. It's sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
Why are we getting killed like this?
Kyle's not here. Got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. 0 tolerance. He's out for the season.
Harsh.
Hey, he knew not to drink. We've made that clear to all of our kids, right?
No, not really.
Bill, if we don't tell them what we expect and why they shouldn't drink, how are they going to know?
Talk. They hear you. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
At BMW of Pleasant Grove, we believe that driving should be more than just a commute. It should be an experience. Feel the perfect fusion of performance, technology, and luxury with our stunning lineup of new and certified pre-owned BMWs. From the exhilarating drive of a 3 or 5 Series to the spacious elegance of an X7, experience a transparent and effortless car buying experience. Visit us at bmwofpg.com. BMW of Pleasant Grove. The ultimate driving machine is closer than you think.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour: 7 charges filed against the person accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Analysis of those charges ahead of his first court appearance in about a half an hour. Visionary filmmaker Robert Redford passing away at 89. More on his life and legacy. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
We still have the final cleanup of a small accident in Taylorsville, northbound Bangor at 4700 South. Maria?
KSL's top local stories coming up.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. Tyler Robinson set to make a virtual appearance in court this hour to face charges in the shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray says they're seeking the death penalty.
Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail.
Prosecutors alleging Robinson confessed to his roommate and partner in texts that he did it. ABC's Matt Gutman is in Utah.
I don't know if we have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The head of the FBI says they're now looking into more than a dozen people who they believe were chatting with Tyler Robinson before he was arrested. He's accused of gunning down Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University last week.
And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
FBI Director Kash Patel told a group of U.S. senators today that there are well over 20 people in that Discord chat, and they want to see if any of them were involved or knew anything about the shooting. Officials say they believe Robinson acted alone. Other local stories KSL is following. Utah Senator John Curtis has placed a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier in honor of 2 officers killed in Tremont last month.
Senator Curtis gave a speech on the Senate floor reflecting on what he felt while placing the wreath in honor of Sergeant Lee Sorensen and Officer Eric Estrada.
It was a humbling reminder that sacrifice, whether on foreign battlefields or the quiet streets of our towns, is what preserves our freedom.
He praised the bravery of officers who respond to difficult calls and said these 2 embodied the values in Utah rooted in the state's pioneer history, choosing duty over comfort and walking into danger so others can live in peace. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A West Valley man is facing federal charges for allegedly robbing a Cyprus credit union last month. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 57-year-old Joseph Ortega entered the credit union on August 28th, demanding cash from the teller, who gave him over $3,000. Investigators used tech to identify his face in their database and also identified his car driving in the area at that time. Ortega is scheduled to face a jury in November. BYU Idaho says it welcomed a record number of new students this fall. The university says 6,500 new students enrolled, and 5,500 of those were first-time freshmen. The last record was set in the fall of 2020 with 4,900 freshmen. School is also celebrating 25 years since the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints announced it would become a 4-year college. Breaking news. A protective order has been filed against Charlie Kirk's accused killer for Charlie's wife, Erica. This order means Tyler Robinson cannot contact, threaten, or harass Erica Kirk in any way. It also requires Robinson to stay away from Kirk and her home. If the judge decides to grant this order, it will continue until the case is fully resolved. Now, Robinson is currently being held without bail for the murder of Charlie Kirk. Utah County Attorney says he is seeking the death penalty against Robinson. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ended the day down 125 points, more than 0.25%, sitting at 45,757. S&P down by 8 points, and the Nasdaq down by 14. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
In Utah County, I've seen a little bit of backup, and now UDOT is reporting a crash in that area. It's northbound I-15, a couple of miles north of Santaquin in the Spring Lake area. You will see a little bit of slowing, even though they are trying to get that crash moved over to the shoulder. And then in Salt Lake County, southbound I-15 is a little heavy and slow, going from the south interchange to 7200 south. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County: history, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 76, 77 tomorrow, then low 80s for the weekend. It looks like on Saturday a 30% chance of showers. Right now 75 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
A 15-year-old girl who chewed through a rope to escape a serial killer.
I used my front teeth to saw on the rope in my mouth.
The killer prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He's been convicted of murdering 2 young women, but suspected of many more.
Maybe there's another one in that area.
Follow Stolen Voices of Dole Valley now, so you don't miss an episode.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, what are you waiting for? Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Today, charges filed against Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University last week. Last hour, I spoke with KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas about the 7 charges and the penalties that they could carry if Robinson is convicted.
Yes, and all the way from a misdemeanor Class A, which is the lowest level charge, it carries up to a year in jail, a couple of third-degree felonies up to 5 years, several second-degree felonies, 1 to 15 years, and some first-degree felonies. The firearm charge, the discharge of a firearm in a manner that causes injury, is a first-degree felony, carries 5 to life. But the big ticket item, of course, is the aggravated murder, which in Utah carries the potential for death, life without the possibility of parole, or life in prison. So a jury, if this case goes that far, will ultimately make that decision.
What do you think is going to happen at this point? Is it possible that this case will be moved out of Utah County to get a clean and impartial jury? Is that even possible in the United States?
Oh, no, it's possible. I mean, we saw it with Lori Vallow. We saw it with Chad Daybell. Their crimes that occurred in different, the southern part of Idaho, they were tried in Boise, the big city, so to speak. Corey Richins tried to get her case moved from Park City to Salt Lake, but they couldn't prove that she couldn't get a fair trial there. So I think that the defense will ask the judge at some point, hey, can we move this to another county? And that's absolutely possible. But usually when you move to another county, within the same district. And that's the 4th District Court, which encompasses Utah County, Wasatch County, and Juab County. So the other 2 choices are actually smaller counties, although they may have a jury pool that has less knowledge about the case.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the news conference, Mr. Gray was asked about possible federal charges. What do you think? He said he couldn't comment on that. What do you think could happen here?
Well, certainly the feds are looking at this case. The U.S. attorney, the acting U.S. attorney, has been involved in the case. The federal public defender's office have been involved in the case. And what they often look at is the state doing enough? And if the state's saying, we're charging this as a death penalty case, and Jeff Gray came right out of the chute today, Maria, and said, I'm going to seek the death penalty, he doesn't have to make that announcement until the arraignment, which is a year away, probably. So I think he sent a message to the feds, we got this. We're going to take this seriously, and we're going to pursue it to the highest extent we can. That would tend to dissuade the federal government from coming in. Do they still have the ability to? Absolutely. They have concurrent jurisdiction. Both sovereigns can take the case, and the federal government actually has a death penalty, so they could do that. I think that what they'll probably do is wait and see that the state is pushing the case hard, and if they're not, the feds may jump in. They may anyway, but I would say, based on what I heard today, that was a message to the federal government that we've got this.
Tyler Robinson's first court appearance is going to happen at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Gray said that it's going to happen video. It's going to be a virtual meeting, not in person. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the Utah County Jail is in Spanish Fork. The court's in Provo. And for something like this, they wouldn't transport somebody. Not that it's a great distance, just to say hello. So the judge will read the charges to him. The judge will ask if he can afford an attorney or if he needs to appoint an attorney, and the judge will set what's called the conditions of his release. Now, he's not going to be released, and then Jeff Gray said it's a death penalty case, so nobody's getting out. And then they'll schedule dates down the road. But as far as I know, and what we're 115, he still doesn't have an attorney appointed yet. So that appointment, I don't know if it's going to come in the next hour and 45 minutes. I sort of doubt it. But he'll get an attorney appointed probably this week, and then they'll start moving forward.
A lot of information was released today. What does that say about the prosecution's strategy?
I think they're trying to send a message that they have a very, very strong case, and they didn't hold anything back. I mean, some of the evidence that we heard today, we haven't heard before. The conversations with his family, the conversations with his roommate, the description of the gun, things that were not even in a probable cause statement that the police filed that I thought was very descriptive the other day when they booked him into jail. That was a very involved probable cause statement. This was 5 times longer. I mean, it was more than was necessary by a long shot. But I think the prosecutor wanted to show his case.
He talked about wanting to be transparent. Does it matter that federal or the nation's eyes are on this case?
Absolutely.
Do you think that added to the information that was released?
No question. And even sort of he got into the politics a little bit, like. We hadn't heard any more before that the defendant was sort of getting some some far left, information or things that were bothering him or getting into his head, and that he had this relationship with his trans roommate. I think those were things I don't know, that right now we're sort of looking at this case as is he left-leaning, is he right-leaning, does it even matter? This makes it sound like he was influenced by some radical left groups, and that's something that I didn't think was really necessary, but apparently the county attorney did.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas there. Tyler Robinson's hearing is set to begin in less than a half an hour. We will have live coverage on Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news beginning at 3 o'clock. Mental health professionals in the state are encouraging anyone struggling after the murder of Charlie Kirk to get help, saying that there are resources available. Mental health counselors and other professionals want you to know that they are ready and prepared for increased calls and walk-ins.
It's very common to see a wide range of responses and reactions to events like this.
Fear, anxiety, grief, shock.
Whatever you're experiencing and feeling is valid.
Emotions being felt not just on campus, but across Utah and beyond in response to the killing of Charlie Kirk. In the moments after the shooting, disturbing videos quickly circulated online.
It's very vicariously traumatizing to see.
And mental health professionals want people to know there is support available.
Our team is here 24/7 at no cost to talk through all of those things.
Rachel Lusinski with Huntsman Mental Health Institute says the Utah crisis line reached by dialing 988 saw a 22% increase in calls in the hours and days following the shooting. Safe UT, a free app available statewide, also continues to connect people with counselors day and night.
We've definitely made sure that we've increased our staffing levels. We are committed to our community and making sure that people are getting those calls for help answered and immediately responded to.
If picking up the phone feels overwhelming, 988 offers text and online chat options, and trained professionals can walk people through coping strategies or connect people with mobile crisis outreach teams or receiving centers.
You deserve and are worthy of receiving that individualized care and support, and our team is available and ready to help.
KSL 5 TV's Emma Benson reporting. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
A life remembered for the work, the pleasure of being able to do the work. That's how Robert Redford said he wanted to be remembered. This morning, he died at the age of 89. His publicist says he passed away at his home near the Sundance Resort here in Utah. The Sundance Institute released a statement on his death this morning saying his vision of a space and a platform for independent voices launched a movement that has inspired generations where artists and redefined cinema. They say they will miss his contributions to culture as well as his generosity, curiosity, and rebellious spirit. KSL 5 TV's Carol Makita interviewed Redford several times over the last several decades. She has a look back at his cinematic life.
In 2009, Robert Redford reminisced about the 40th anniversary of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the film that launched him into stardom.
Think you used enough dynamite there, Butch?
Butch Cassidy is such a vital part of Utah history. You know, the outlaw part of Utah, which is something I can identify with, unfortunately.
Director George Roy Hill wanted to cast him as Butch with Paul Newman as Sundance. Redford convinced him to switch the roles, and Newman agreed.
The fact that he would support me, not well known at that time, I will forever be indebted to him.
Then he worked on a change for the film's location.
And I said to him, I said, what do you know about Utah? And he said, nothing. I said, I'm telling you, there are parts of Utah that are not like anything else in the world. And can I show you a part of Utah? Because I think it'd be great to film there.
So they flew over southern Utah, what Redford always called sheer beauty.
As a result, he said, we're going to film in Utah. So I like to think that I had maybe a lot to do with the film being shot there.
Do you think we lost him? No.
It was a box office hit, and the name Sundance touched every aspect of Redford's professional life. It was his vision in Utah with both the Sundance Institute and then the Sundance Film Festival that affected the future of the film industry throughout the world. In 1985, Redford, an advisor, agreed to take over a financially struggling film festival.
There are a lot of people that had bruised feelings from what had happened years before I wasn't even aware of. So we tried it, and there was like mixed support.
10 years later, Redford remembered the risk, the fear, and little support.
First year, we had an attendance of roughly 400 people. And all signs indicated that this was probably going to be one of the great tank jobs of all time.
Soon, Sundance Films attracted Hollywood stars and international stars.
It's a beacon, really, not just for America, but I think in terms of the world as a truly, independent festival for pictures that almost always are the product of great passion.
Filmmakers throughout the world give the credit to Robert Redford.
People know what independent film is today.
I had a real passion for what I thought could be done at a certain time that would create something new and possible. But it was only a hope. There was nothing else to go on. So those are scary times, but you go through them because you believe in them.
Closest to his heart, the 5,000-acre resort, which he has preserved for future generations.
Thought, well, at least there's some place that will keep things the way it was when the pioneers first came. So Sundance has kept that ethic all through the last 40 years, and I hope we'll keep it that way.
In 2013, Governor Gary Herbert hosted a sold-out formal event called The Governor's Salute to Robert Redford, a Utah tribute to an American icon.
There's not anybody really any bigger than him, and he just lives up the street from us. He calls Utah home.
The governor and many others agreed that our state has benefited from Robert Redford's vision and career.
What really touches me most about tonight is that whatever differences may exist, that we could all come together and collaborate on something we all agree on, which is our love of this state and the country and the people.
Carol Makita, KSL 5 News.
Several of the people he worked with over the years have released statements and memories. Actress Meryl Streep wrote that one of the lions has passed, while director Ron Howard has said that Redford was an artistic game changer. What's your go-to method of easing your nausea? Do you use music? We'll finish off today's show with more on that story after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
And we do have delays on northbound I-15 in Utah County. It's due to a crash. The accident is blocking the left lane. It's about halfway between Santaquin and Payson in the Spring Lake area with that left lane blocked. We do have backups. Salt Lake County freeways, though, we're already seeing traffic getting busy and slow southbound I-15 Murray and Midvale. From system install to fast fixes to delivering award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill is going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and advanced windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Everyone has their usual nausea remedies when they're not feeling quite right. Deep breaths, maybe some Alka-Seltzer or ginger ale, and now Mozart? Chinese researchers suggest that the kind of music that people listen to in the car may just stave off motion sickness. Brad Milkey on the Start Here podcast tells us more.
You know the feeling. You're riding in the back seat of someone's car, minding your business, checking your texts, when suddenly you realize you don't feel so good. Motion sickness has been studied a lot over the years. It generally happens when your body is confused. Some senses are telling your brain that you're sitting still, while others say you're moving. Doctors say you can mitigate this feeling by keeping your eyes on something far away, or getting a breeze on your face, or even by eating something sweet. You want to switch up those senses. But one sense we haven't talked about yet is hearing. And some scientists now say you could prevent car sickness by having a better road trip playlist. Researchers in China recently published a paper in the journal Frontiers saying they tested this on a few dozen participants by setting up a car simulator that made them all sick to their stomach. Once they were nice and nauseated, they had to listen to some music. The song you heard fell into one of four categories. One was what they called stirring or passionate music. According to the Times of London, this group used the theme from Pirates of the Caribbean. You can just hear the waves churning under your car, right? It wasn't actually that helpful. Better than stirring music, they said, was this gentle music. But the best, they said, was joyful, happy music. Now, remember, these are Chinese researchers and Chinese test subjects, so they used this Chinese song called Horse Racing. Sounds pretty joyful to me. Importantly, scientists say, it's got a beat. A sense that you are literally being propelled forward. This, they say, activates our brain's pleasure systems. It's like candy, but for the ears. So what music do you not want to play when you've got the aux cable? Sad music, low notes, slow melodies. This song was seen as the least effective in reducing motion sickness. In fact, participants were more likely to say they felt better by just listening to silence. So what does this all mean for drivers? Well, first off, be considerate to your passengers. We know motion sickness affects drivers less since your brain feels more like you're moving. But this might not always be the case. One of the reasons researchers conducted this study in the first place was because of self-driving cars. Someday, they say, we're all going to be passengers. The only thing fully in our hands will be our playlists.
All right, so crank up your liveliest music for some quick relief next time you get sick in the car, or just stay off your phone for a little while, or listen to Jeff Kaplan.
Great idea. That or Chinese happy music. Either way.
We both just started to